Well, first of all, most of our customers do live under a rock.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Channel 1031, the show where I interview people who work and create things inside of the Halloween industry. I am your host, GMHaunts, and I am super excited for this episode because joining me are some of the most well-known people when it comes to the Halloween industry. They are the owners of one of the top current Halloween companies in the world, and they've been making the highest quality monsters around for a very long time. Ladies and gentlemen, my guests for Channel 1031 today are the one and only Ed and Marsha Edmunds from Distortions Unlimited. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. That's a very nice intro. Now, it's a good thing that we're one and only because
Yes.
I don't think the world could tolerate one more. But let me say this before we get started. I love your channel. I've been watching you for quite a while, and your knowledge and energy is very good, because a lot of times I'll scan through, but I've actually I've watched whole episodes. I mean, you really do a good job. So I just want to get that out of the way. I mean, and it's just
so much.
I mean, really think a lot of your channel.
Before we talk about the past and the future of the company and about Distortions, I want to throw out a scenario, and that is, let's say there's someone who has basically been living just completely under a rock. They know nothing about Distortions, they know nothing about what you guys do. How would you, in just a couple of sentences, describe your animatronics, props, and decor to them?
Well, first of all, most of our customers do live under a rock. No. So, do you want to take a stab at this question?
You start.
All right. We try to be all things to all people, which you can't quite do, but we started, with mass things. So we do mass, and we do props, and we do animatronics, and we do giant props and giant animatronics, and it's all monster related. Now it's largely Halloween too, but we like to think of ourselves as monster makers for all year round. And so it's a large variety of just about anything that we can think of that anybody would want. We're greedy. We try to make it and sell it.
When people ask us that question, usually we say we make monsters.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the short line. And high-end monsters, I would say, primarily. But we make non-Halloween related stuff too. So
that's true.
Dinosaurs, this and that.
Yeah. Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely, you guys, and I definitely agree with what you're saying, that you have a wide variety of products. You can satisfy a lot of different customers, not only for different holidays, but also for what people are looking for when it comes to Halloween decorations. If they want bigger things, they want smaller things, you can really get whatever you want from Distortions. And obviously, while this video is playing, I'll be showing some stuff on the screen here so people can check out some of the coolest stuff that you guys make. But that's definitely a great way to describe that. And this next question, it starts to turn our attention to the past of Distortions and how it got started. So the second question is, Distortions is obviously one of the longest running Halloween manufacturers, making monsters all the way since 1978. What inspired you to get into the Halloween industry? And what was the very beginning of Distortions Unlimited like, and how is it different from how the company operates in today's world?
Well, I will start with that question because Marsha came along about 5 years in. I was a monster kid. I loved monsters. And I mean, you guys now are spoiled, but back when I was growing up, there was a few things. There was the Outer Limits and Star Trek and Lost in Space and Planet of the Apes that blew my mind. But I loved monsters. I loved mass. And I think really the genesis of it was I loved Don Post masks, and I just couldn't afford them. They were like $39.50 in the back of Famous Monsters magazine. Couldn't afford them, so I decided to make my own mask, and because that was like in adjusted dollars, that was like $400 a mask, and I was getting $2 to clean my grandfather's barn, if you can imagine. So that kind of started it, being a monster kid. I got offered a scholarship. I showed, my dentist had helped me sculpt. I showed his brother, who was over one night, my stuff, and his brother happened to be head of the art department at the local college. And he offered me a scholarship on the spot, and I turned him down because I didn't think I could make a living. So the business found me eventually in Greeley. That's a whole long story, but it was really, my goal was just to make really good quality masks and just to sell them, just to make money. I didn't really have grandiose ideas. I wasn't trying to be the best. I just wanted to be as close as I could to Don Post in quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and back in the day, we just did masks, and then we started doing all kinds of little fingers, ears, noses, all that sort of thing for a while.
That was one of your first jobs, cutting mouse noses.
Right.
Well, it's great to hear you mention Don Post, who's obviously a legend when it comes to the Halloween industry. Once again, I'll show some Don Post stuff on the screen now, so it's great to hear you mention that. And it's also very cool to hear how you just said you were never trying to be the best. You wanted to be similar to Don Post. And it's always great when you were just doing something you enjoy doing and it became this giant thing, which is always awesome. It's always great when you're not trying to become the big thing and it kind of comes to you, which is always awesome. So this next question, it ties into something you just touched on, again, the past and how you got started. Obviously, like I mentioned, the company got started in 1978. What made you want to create not just Halloween decorations, but quality pieces, things that you spend time on, things that weren't mass manufactured, things that you wanted to make sure were very well crafted and all of that? And was your goal over time to kind of keep making really high quality stuff that wasn't just something you could find at any Halloween store?
Okay, why don't I start? Well, as far as the shift in what we were making, we were forced to leave masks. That was my goal, was to make masks and hands, and we could not keep up with China. China started making really good stuff for really cheap, and we couldn't compete with that. We tried, we put in a conveyor system, but to try to stay in the business. So we were forced out of it, and we started doing props to supplement, and then along came the electric chair, and that really changed the company totally. We got into animatronics. That first electric chair was crazy. It was a pulleys and a belt and a motor, and we just shook the tar with this big old motor. And so we learned how to use pneumatics and things, and that shifted the company. But it wasn't really a choice like, oh, I think we'll try this. It was like, what are we going to do to stay in the business? Because the business was changing, and we've seen radical changes over the last 40 years.
Yeah, and we, as far as quality, we started out really emphasizing quality. At one point, we actually made the mistake of sending some of our masters over for production in China, and found out quickly that that was not our vision. It works for some people. It did not work for us, because you have to actually be on site and manage that. So we decided, no, we want to make everything in-house, design everything, sculpt everything. And we were fortunate to connect with a lot of special effects guys that work on film and stuff. Started working with them over the years, and so they're pretty responsible for a lot of our sculpts also.
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of sculptors over the years.
Yeah, well, the sculpts are probably my favorite part about Distortions items, because they absolutely stand out. Compare them to any other Halloween company, any other Halloween products, you'll always be able to label what a Distortions item is just by the sculpt of it, because obviously you stand out in that way. So this next question, I want to ask it now because you just mentioned how you kind of stepped into sending people to China, didn't really enjoy it. So the next question is, obviously all your stuff is made to order. It's not mass manufactured in a giant factory. Everything is picture perfect, exactly how you want it to be. Do each of you have a favorite and least favorite step in the assembly of an item? Is there something you really love doing, and then is there something that's like, I hate doing it, but it has to be done for the process?
I love design.
Okay.
That's definitely my favorite. When we start designing a new product, that's the most fun.
Well, and it's stressful too, because you know that if you guess wrong, you're going to do all this work and come up with a lemon. But I have to agree with Marsha. That's probably my favorite too, because it's that Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein sort of thing where you're creating something from nothing. And as far as my least, sorry about the train.
It's totally fine. It's fine.
And they blow it long and hard. They just don't know when to stop. But anyway,
The least favorite.
The least favorite is probably the mass production. And it's wonderful, and it's terrifying. Like right now we are so busy, busier than we've ever been. And that's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's very gratifying that people want our stuff and so forth. But then when you look at what you have to do, like we had a morning meeting and we're like, oh my gosh, and Mike's getting out the skull and we're all like, so it's wonderful and hard. It's pretty hard getting all this stuff out the door. So it's kind of a love-hate thing as far as our worst, but yeah, the massive numbers and mass production of replication is probably the worst.
However, the second favorite is seeing that finished product. Come to life. Put in all this work and sculpting and so forth, and then you see that guy come to life. So that's awesome.
Well, and this is not a for sure thing. Most of the time the product is not quite what was in my head. It's like, it's good, but occasionally, like the electric chair or the mutant or something, it's like, dang, that's what was in my head or better. And that's kind of thrilling when it comes out. It's good.
Yeah, the mutant is absolutely my favorite from this year's lineup. Definitely probably one of my favorites from the last couple of years. A fantastic item. Again, I'll show a video on the screen right now for people who haven't seen it. Such an amazing item. But even, I guess we'll jump right into this. Is an animatronic question, because you touched on mutant, and obviously mutant is a super creative, innovative, unique concept. And this question kind of touches on the way Distortions likes to make their animatronics. So the question is, obviously, Distortions likes to stay unique. And an example for this is CLOWNS. Obviously, right now, in the Halloween world, we are definitely in a Halloween clown phase. A lot of companies, they are putting out a lot of clowns. They're using bright, colorful characters for their killer clown animatronics. Distortions, you have your fair share of them, but you're putting a fresh spin on their personalities and their looks. And I think a great example of this, Creep and Little Creep, who came out this year. These two characters are clowns, but they're kind of dark. They have black Michael Myers-esque jumpsuits. They're not like any other clowns that we've seen from any company over the last couple of years. Do you each personally believe that there's a fine line between a concept of a character being scary and it being cartoonish? And I think a good example of that is clowns. Can clowns be scary, but then also can they be cartoonish?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, in fairness, we have made some clowns that were pretty cartoony. We prefer not to. Prefer to have, our favorite is actually something kind of realistic, like, if it's a real guy or girl trying to be a clown. Realism, I think, is important, in conveying the scariness of him.
Well, yeah, there's actually a lot of adults in the industry have issues with clowns because they got terrified of them as a kid. And I think there's actually something pretty creepy about like a regular dude with clown light being weird. And so I personally don't like, not that there's anything wrong with it, but the colorful clowns. And we've made them, and I get through with them. It's like, they're too silly. They're too, but these guys are like almost goth, kind of like they got a vibe, and so I was really pleased with the clowns this time around. That's to me, they're still clowns, but they've got a little different edge. They've got more personality or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree because they're so different looking. When I saw them for the first time, I thought this is a clown, but it's a fresh take on one. And we need more stuff like this. More companies need to reimagine clowns and turn them away. Not gonna lie, I enjoy the colorful clowns the other ones are making. There's one right to the side of that camera. I do enjoy them.
Yeah.
But over the last couple of years, I'm starting to think they look too similar to each other. I like in the beginning when we were getting colorful stuff, but it at least was different. Now it feels like every clown we get is bright, but they look all similar. So Creepin' Little Creep, absolutely fantastic. Different takes on clowns. Which is very
well, and I just want to press pause for a second. The last two things we talked about, Mutant and Creepin' Little Creep, were ideas that were generated and sculpted by Tom Cassidy. And Tom has been a tremendous asset to the company over the last few years. He is extremely talented, and so you know, I mean, obviously we run the company and we've owned it all these years, but we've had input from people over the years with ideas and things that have really taken us to the next level. And so I just want to make sure Tom got credit for that.
It's always awesome. Also, a lot of the great stuff that comes from a company always has to do with the team. If you have a great team, you're going to make great products. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
The team is the key. You can't do anything grand without a team.
Absolutely. So the second and last one, it ties into the current state of Halloween and what people are considering scary in 2022. So most haunts nowadays will feature some aspect of an evil circus or carnival, a Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of area, and a lot of 3D scare. 3D scare has become a huge thing over the last couple of years. Do you prefer the current style of scaring, or are there other themes and scares of the past that you think work better than what current haunted houses are using in this day and age?
Well, I like whatever's done well. There's been many different stabs at it. The thing that I guess I enjoy the most is when people get creative and don't just, oh, they did this kind of, I'm going to do it, well, I'll do a little better or something. Just throw it all out and start from scratch. And, I just think that we get in ruts. Like there was a rut in the 80s. Everything was Jason and Freddy Krueger. And then, now we're currently kind of the zombie apocalypse kind of things. And it's like, they're great. I love them all. But I just love the creativity. I love people that just think way outside of the box. And we did some of that when we were running Brutal Planet, and people really enjoyed it because it was so weird. They don't know what to expect,
Yeah, and the thing about haunts, I understand the dilemma. I mean, they're trying to move through huge numbers of people, scare them at the same time. And so it becomes a real challenge. I understand that. But I think that's definitely part of the problem is the need to move people through too fast. And the guys that have that balance, that can slow it down enough and still scare them, I think.
Oh yeah, it's an art form.
Yeah,
definitely. It's an art form. It's not just a great sets or great monsters or great scares. It's how do you move tens of thousands of people through quickly and give them a great
creep
show.
them out, know?
Yeah. And I think I definitely agree. Whenever you see creativity in a haunt, it makes it so much better. And I want to take this opportunity to give a little shout out to a haunted attraction in Pennsylvania, Halstead Manor. I attended it for the first time last year. I did a whole interview, behind the scenes thing. I had the pleasure of meeting with the owner, Eric Lusk. There's this he has an awesome haunted attraction again. It's called Halstead Manor. He has the most innovative and creative haunted house that I've probably ever attended, because he has no clowns. He has nothing that you would see in another haunted house. And although I do love other ones, a lot of them are cookie cutter, like you're saying, and they're kind of, even sometimes they blend together when you're trying to remember them because they're very similar. this haunted attraction, if anyone in Pennsylvania is watching this video, go check out Halstead Manor because it's so different. There's a lot of weird stuff in it. It's a great haunted attraction.
Good.
Yeah, the creativity makes such a difference. I'll just give you as quick an example of that. Marsha, this was probably the 80s. We went down to Denver and we went to see 3 haunted houses, and there was, you know, like a sci-fi one. There was another one I can't even remember, but March of Dimes did a haunted house and they had no budget, 0. I mean, they barely had any props in there, but they had one clever idea. And the clever idea was they had listeners, and the listeners, they put you in a dark hall. Well, you were there for this, Adam. And then so people would say, Adam, where are you? I'm over here, Marsha. And they would get the names, and then they go to the scene in front of you and say, okay, you got a Marsha and an Adam. And so the guy'd be working along, he'd look up Adam, and you're like, what's this? And then somebody else is running down the hall, Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. And that was a brilliant idea. It cost nothing. And that was our favorite haunted house. And we were looking at some pretty amazing haunted houses. And that one was 0 budget. Now, if you have a budget and clever ideas, it's better. But I'm telling you, the concepts are key.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just want to mention another haunted house because you're saying the name thing. I kind of feel like another haunted attraction in Pennsylvania, Reaper's Revenge, which is one of the big one. I believe they do something with names too. I don't remember exactly. Nice. But I remember last year because when they were doing something, they didn't do it with me, but I believe they did. So yeah, the name thing is always interesting because it does add a little bit of more weirdness to it and confusion. But that's
it doesn't have to be names. I'm just citing that as a way to use your mind to make a great haunted house. It could be other things, you know, but
yeah. So, and then this is the last main question, and this has to do with the design and the product release that you guys do. So obviously, just like a lot of Halloween companies, Distortions releases a new lineup of animatronics and props and decor for each Halloween season. How far ahead are you guys designing a new product? And will you workshop an idea through like many different looks and versions? Or does the fully realized concept come to you pretty quickly in the process?
Yeah, almost always it's a big work through.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of back and forth with everyone, the whole team, because it involves so many steps and so forth. So yeah, a lot of work through. And I would say, I mean, some things we start working on way in advance and then they don't make it that year. You know, we run out of time or whatever, and then we pick them back up. But generally, I would say, I don't know, most things require 2 to 3 months at minimum. Yeah. Most things more than that, as far as development and getting through the whole process.
Yeah, and it's not just artistic disagreements, it's production. You know, can this be made? Is this going to pull out of the mold? You know, there's so many things that take a lot of thought to get them out the door, and it's something that's reasonably priced that works.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to hear when you hear stuff like that. So much planning and months and time go into each product that gets released. So it makes you appreciate the final thing a little bit more when you realize months went into designing this thing and so much work by so many different people. So that's definitely awesome to hear. We have they're backwards. We have 2 bloody notes here. We have A and we have B. We have 2 different questions. So you're going to have to kind of decide among yourselves, which one do you want?
I think A looks bloodier.
I think B's got a weirder shape.
Okay,
we're
going for A.
A it is.
A. Let's check it out. Let's see what we got here. Let's see.
Scary.
All right. So what we have, this is an interesting one. So basically what this is, let's say that both of you became immortal, just like a vampire or a werewolf. But just like those 2 creatures, there's still one thing that could kill you, even in immortality. For both of you, can both give a different answer. What would be the one thing that could still kill you?
Oh, that's awesome. Ooh. I would want something I don't like.
I would say boredom, because, you know, if you're immortal, and you're starting to get bored, you'd want the end to come soon.
Yes.
Right? No, is that no good?
I don't know.
Give me the look.
No, I don't know.
You answer.
No. Something that would kill me.
Puns. You'd be
Oh.
dead in no time.
Yeah. If I was around you, puns
Yeah,
would wipe me out.
But you might want to be immortal for a while.
I
so
would
maybe
want to.
that's
I
not a
would
good
want to
idea.
be immortal. Yeah.
How about you would be immortal till I told a good pun?
Yeah. Now
you
that's
could live.
That's true.
You
I
might
could
go
live.
5,000-10,000 years.
I could
Okay.
live a long time.
All right, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely that's a tough question, but so obviously all the viewers, let me know in the comments down below, what would your answer be? What would kill you even in immortality? We'll see what we get. But that is going to wrap up this Channel 1031 interview. I had a fantastic time talking to Ed and Marsha from the one and only Distortions Unlimited, one of the biggest Halloween companies in the entire world. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Do you have any final words for viewers watching this?
Oh, I just enjoy it because I'll tell you what, if you like this stuff, it is your time. I mean, there is so many amazing things being created, whether it's in film or actual products. When I was growing up in the 60s, let me tell you, it was slim pickings. And also things like you being able to, explain things, show people what's coming. It's just wonderful. I really, really appreciate what you're doing, and you do it well.
Thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. It means so much coming from, again, two of the most well-known people, and I'll definitely keep doing it. And we need more people. We need more people making videos to share the product that people like you are creating and releasing every single year. But with all that out of the way, obviously, you can go and follow Distortions Unlimited on all social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Go follow them so you can see all of the spooky products that they are releasing every single season and keep up to date with everything they do in the Halloween world. But I guess, remember as always, for everything scary, I'm GMHaunts.
Thank
I'll see
you.
you guys later for more Channel 1031 interviews. Goodbye.